I wrote this a couple years ago, and it's been one heck of a week for me. It's been really crazy and busy, and I usually spend a lot of time working on my messages, and I knew that I was going to have a board retreat for 3 days this week, and I knew that I had to cram a lot of things into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday so I could be gone Thursday morning. So I thought, well, I'm going to grab a few things that I know work, that are good, and I'm going to sing a little bit today. Obviously, you just got a little bit of that. But I wrote this a couple years back when I was going through birthing pains. I was going through a difficult time in my life where I needed to become more of myself in order to fulfill my destiny and in order to be all that I was meant to be on the planet. As I sit around watching the slow pace of my very timid and predictable life, I ease back in my recliner and I become soft in the comfort of my stagnation. Happy to remain a motionless and protected mass of security where nothing can shake my world or rattle my protective bubble. Here, without movement and with little thought, I can control my world. Nothing goes out, nothing gets in, and nothing ever changes. I like it that way. Here, without expression and with little excitement, I have built a solid, massive, impenetrable wall that shields me from any reconstruction of my very steady and stable life. This was written by the Virgo part of me. A fortress that holds my life rigid, uncompromising, and secure. I have no need for reorganization, transformation, or alteration to my plan. Oh, shift happens, but out there, not in here. I'm not sure that's the right place to say amen, but I'll take it. But wait, we're getting there, Tebow. Wait, there's more. What's that on the horizon? Is that a change that I see? Is this a change that I'm feeling? How did it get in here? I've worked for years to keep this fragile mass of a life immovable and guarded from the ebb and flow that other human beings must face. How can this be? There's no way this change could have gotten in here because I have kept my eye peeled and poised and keen to squash even the hint of a revolution. How did it sneak in here? Man the battle stations! Fire the cannons! Fire at will! Oh no, I can't control it. Oh no, I can't kill it. It's overwhelming. Oh boy, this is going to happen. This is going to happen whether I like it or not. It feels strange and funny and really, really scary. And it scares me down to the marrow of my bones. I don't like it. Make it go away. Make it go away. Oh, the pressure of its tentacles is strangling me, and I feel like I'm going to die. I am dying. Alas, I am dead. Well, wait a minute. I'm not dead. I'm still here. I wasn't vaporized. No. Wow, I'm going to be okay. I'm begging for an amen, brother. In fact, I feel pretty good. I feel kind of different, like a remodel has taken place in my mind and my heart and my spirit. What's really, really strange is I feel safe. Even though life has changed, I feel as if an unseen force has held me through it all. And it took me a few bumps, and I've got a few bruises, yep, to get here. But I think that unseen force has brought me to a safer place than where I was just a moment ago. You know, suddenly this recliner, it doesn't feel so comfortable anymore. I want to wiggle. I want to stretch. I want to sing. I want to dance. You don't want to see that. All right, change is a little scary, but I really don't think I need this citadel around my heart anymore. All this time, I thought change was this big, hairy monster that wanted nothing more than tear at my insides and feast on my insecurities. Well, maybe I was right. That's what it was doing, but I needed it. In fact, I think I may have been missing something by trying to hold it at bay, and instead of fighting it, maybe I can just ease into it and allow it to slowly put me into a flow and transform me. Wow! Where did that thought come from? Hey, maybe that means that transformation has already started. And the choir said, you know, I think working with life's little surprises makes my world a lot better place to be than when I gather artillery to shoot them down. Change? Change? I think I can handle it. Bring it on. Make my day. You know, the one thing we can count on is change, absolutely. Did you see me start to wander? Did you see the cruise in my head? I need a little leash here. Change is going to happen, and it is scary. It is absolutely scary. We get comfortable. We get stagnant. We get absolutely entrenched in a rut. And we don't want to get out of our rut because we don't know what's out there. And the time came when the pain of staying in the rut was outmaneuvered by the fear of moving forward. The pain was no longer bearable. Every moment, every single moment in our life brings an opportunity to change. We're on an ever-flowing, ever-evolving planet, and we are either cooperating with that flow or we are fighting the current. If it feels like a bumpy ride, guess who needs to wake up? I'm going to talk about being buoyant next week. But you know, there's two tools that we've talked about leading up to this moment. This is the third in a three-part series. Week number 1, be bold. Be bold. When change comes, we are called and forced to get bold, not about our personality, but about our Christ essence, our Buddha nature. The divine essence of the light that we were born is. We remember it. We remember that truth and we are bold. That's number 1 strategy. That was week number 1. Week number 2, if the truth is for me, it must be the truth for you because there's only one of us here. Be benevolent. If I'm holding the Christ of my being, and not holding it for everybody else on the planet, I am a bulldozer, and I'm pushing my way through life. Therefore, I must be kind, I must be compassionate, I must be generous, and see that same light in you. That's my mantra for 60 years, well, not 60 years, but maybe a good 40 of them, to shine my light so brightly that others cannot help but know that that same light exists in them. That's the mission statement of this community. To see Lester's light so profoundly, to recognize it, to demonstrate it, and to call it forth, that we may share in the greater light of Lester and Richard together. Of Richard and Richard together. That's our job on the planet. It's really our only job. And every moment we have that interaction, no matter how scary that interaction might be, every moment is an opportunity to be born to a new iteration. A new vibration of who I am meant to be, and it comes with fear. I'm saying look to nature, look to autumn. Let's find the evidence. We're safe. We're good, even when that relationship and that dialogue might be tense, and it might be ugly at times because we're still human beings finding our way home. But when the uncomfortableness hits the fan, do we run from it? Do we fight the change? Do we pull out the artillery and say, get back from me? Or do we say, bring it on, make my day, because there's more of me about to come? I look to nature. I have a very pagan heart, and some people don't like the word pagan because it's been absconded by the Christian church and made to mean something it doesn't mean. Mama Gaia is as important to me as Papa Christ. Mama Gaia is as important to me, to my divine feminine. And so I'm going to invite a divine feminine energy to come up. I'm going to invite Jeannie to come back up here. This is a song in my 60 years when I first heard it. It's written by Janice Stanfield. And this song was a quantum leap for me in recognizing, 1, I wasn't alone. 2, that I had the energy within me that I did not recognize to become more of who I was meant to be. This song is, I need my microphone though. Although I do sing heck of a lot better when you can't hear me. My best arias come in the shower. That's something you don't want to see either. This song is called Butterfly. Sitting alone on a hillside, confused about what to do. My choices were all complicated. It was time to think things through. I spotted a striped caterpillar stretching her face to the sky and dragging her cumbersome body an inch at a time. I was feeling the pain of slow progress when a friend of hers fluttered by. I leaned in close as the caterpillar spoke with a voice as soft as a sigh. And she said, "Butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be all right. I can feel a change is coming. I can feel it in my skin. I can feel myself outgrowing this life I've been living in. And I am afraid to change. So butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be all right." Well, I'm like my friend caterpillar, afraid of that dark cocoon, wanting to hide in the tall grass when a change is coming soon. But all of the things that we care for are born on the wings of change, and losses can bring us to blessings we can't explain. So butterflies, they remind us there's magic in every life, and we can become what we dream of if fat, fuzzy worms can fly. So butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be all right. I can feel a change is coming. I can feel it in my skin. I can feel myself outgrowing the life I've been living in. And I am afraid of change. So butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be all right. Butterfly, please tell me again I'm gonna be all right. Thank you, Jeannie. Oh my God, I'm turning 60. Butterflies, please tell me I'm going to be all right. You get me on the pickleball court, I tell my partner, Al, please tell me I'm going to be all right tomorrow. When my coach, who is here somewhere, Paul's over there, when he says, oh, we're going to increase the weight by 3 or 4 notches, and it's like, oh, Paul, please tell me I'm going to be all right. And I'm more than all right, but it is absolutely scary. But so many people let the fear get a hold of them, and so many people have an expectation. Have an expectation that this transformational process, this moment of being born again, happens when I turn 60, from 59 to 60. How many were brought up in the Orthodox Church? I remember the moment I was introduced to the idea of being born again for the first time. I remember the moment that I watched a baptism, and I was in my young teens, and I got enamored with the excitement of that, the pageantry of a baptism, of accepting something greater than myself into my heart, that's something that had to save me, and something that had to make me better, less stained, less broken. And it was at a church service, and we went outside. They happened to have a swimming pool, so it was a full immersion into the pool. And I remember how exciting it was to have people clapping. People were clapping for me. People were surrounding me and holding me. And the minister wrapped his arms around me, said, put your, finger, thank God, he said, put your fingers on your nose, put me under, and I came up. And it was an exciting, beautiful moment. And it felt so good. It was a complete and total spiritual high for the moment, for a day after, maybe by Wednesday, a week, and then it wore off. It was a wonderful external validation of something that was intended, something that was desired, but it wore off. So, I'm going to go to a Billy Graham revival. So I went to the Billy Graham revival, and I remember the excitement of being at the top of that stadium, in a big football field. I was right at the top, and I remember the song, all to thee, my blessed Savior, I surrender all. And I started to feel the high again. Oh, this feels good. Feels good. And people were cheering, thousands of people cheering in the stadium as I made my way with hundreds of them to be on there and to accept something separate from me into my heart that I could be whole again. And there was the high again. Oh, and it felt good for the day, for the week, maybe a month this time, and then it began to fall away. So I became a spiritual junkie, looking for baptisms, looking for revivals, and looking for opportunities to approach the altar to fill me up again, Jesus. Fill me up again. And it was walking into a New Thought church where born again meant something different to a lot of my friends and my family. And I began to have people talk to me about what born again really meant. It's an internal transformation, not an external one. It meant I had to make some really heavy-duty shifts on the inside that weren't necessarily epiphanies and revelations and excitement with pageantry and parades and people clapping and getting dunked under the water. It was the moment of getting up in the morning after a hard night of not knowing if I was going to be here the next day, that I made a decision not to surrender everything to something outside of me, but to surrender everything boldly and kindly that I'd always been, that I had forgotten. But we have this expectation that our transformation is supposed to be a one and done. I had the high, I got the hit, now I'm transformed. And unfortunately, folks, that's not what the transformational path is about. Never has been, never will be. You know, as a child, anybody ever watch the caterpillar create the chrysalis? And then it's hanging there on the branch, and you're maybe 6, 7, 8 years old. Oh, I want to help the caterpillar. I want to help the caterpillar, so let me reach in there and open it up and inadvertently kill. I want the moment because I'm impatient. I'm impatient with the process. And the butterfly never emerges, or it dies. Or ever try to help a chicken? I grew up on a farm. Oh, the chicken is pecking out of the egg. Let me get a toothpick and help him. That for a young kid to watch the chicken die, because I did not allow it the strength it needed to bust out of the shell. I did not allow it the process it needed to become the strong being. It was the strong chicken. I'm not comparing my muscles to a chicken, although Paul might. But I did not allow it what it needed for the transformation to happen from the egg to full chickendom. And I thought, wow, that's what the spiritual path, that's what religion has done to us. We're creating spiritual junkies looking for the next high. And then we thought, we're not immune to that. It just looks like the next workshop. Let me feel good. I'm convinced that if you took one book, I don't care which one it is, for me it would be one chapter in a book, Don't Take Anything Personal. If I could live and breathe and have my being in that, the 4 agreements, that would be the only Bible I need. My life would be full and rich. But we think it needs to be this epiphany. We need to be like St. Paul, and we're on our road to Damascus. And suddenly we're blind, there's a poof and a lightning, or Muhammad is visited by an angel, and all of a sudden, now I'm a different person. Well, I would love if it happened that way. I would actually love it as somebody who cleans my yard in autumn, if all of a sudden I just went poof and all the leaves were on the ground. Then I could just have one day a weekend, get all the leaves up. That would be convenient. Have we created a religious system that's all about convenience? And have we missed the beauty of autumn? One leaf at a time. I can picture right now, you probably have seen it. One leaf sitting on my screen porch. How that becomes the experience of the presence of God. But if it was poof, all done in one fell swoop, I would miss that beauty. I would miss that meditation. I would miss that softness. Because I want to have the epiphany. I want to have the revelation. You see, born again is a way more than one moment in time. Being born again is a lifelong process. It's a lifelong decision. We were born to experience all of it. Every moment of your life leading up to this moment was essential and necessary. And I hope you didn't rush through it. If you did, let's make the next 60 years a little bit better. And to take the moment to recognize the beauty of the transformation that's happening. Because if the leaves all come down, you're not only missing the beauty, but that's going to wear off pretty quick, and you're going to be in winter a lot sooner than you want to be in winter. And it will be the winter of your soul. It will be the winter that says, I got to go put the leaves, paste them back on the tree, and have another poof. I've got to go find another Billy Graham crusade and accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And the reality is, spirituality was never designed that way. We are called to take every moment, every relationship, every breath, every thought, every word, and to know it is one step closer to surrendering my all. All to Thee, my blessed Richard, as the Christ, as the Buddha, as the Tao, as the Atman. I don't care what you call it, but you have a relationship with it. We think it should be dramatic. I had the opportunity to be invited. I'd never been in the delivery room, ever. I don't have any biological children, but I have a lot of kids. I'm a great-grandfather of 2 and a grandfather of 13, because I'm a manifester, and I manifested being a grandpa. But the youngest one, Quinn, I was invited to be in the labor room. And so I walked in with this idea of what Hollywood told me was supposed to happen. And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. This is going to be so amazing. My daughter's going to be screaming and swearing, and she's going to be calling her husband names and say, it's all your fault, just like it is in Hollywood. And the doctors were going to be rushing in and rushing out, and then there was going to be this big swap and a cry, and it was going to be this big dramatic moment, and then Charlton Heston was going to come in and part the Red Sea. No. And I had this preconceived notion of what birth was supposed to be. And a lot of us are walking the planet with a preconceived notion of what being born again is supposed to be. So I sat there, kind of once removed, being very discreet and private from the situation. My daughter never screamed. But what I heard her do was this. The ache. You could hear, you could feel the ache. You could hear and feel the pain. And I remember going, that's what transformation is. It does involve an ache. It does involve a pain. But if you push the ache and the pain away from you, you're not living into the fullness of who you are meant to be. There was no name calling. There was no screaming. There was no Hollywood. There weren't doctors rushing in. There was just one doctor a beautiful, kind, soft angel of a woman who came in and said, I think it's time. I think it's time. And Susie and I were in the corner, and we held each other. And Sean held Brooksy, our daughter. I think it's time. I want you to place your hands upon your heart right now. You have had moments in your life that felt like that. Oh God, maybe. I don't know if I can do this. And then the still small voice of God that we hear about in 1 Kings comes to you and says, I think it's time. Terry, I think it's time. And then you're in a community and you gather around and you hold each other and I found myself doing this inadvertently, when she was going, I was going, It's amazing how a groan really resembles an om, because it is a beautiful spiritual experience of birth that requires us to be fully active, fully participating, and so we ommed with the background music of Yosemite and the birds of Yosemite. That's near and dear to our heart, which you'll learn downstairs if you go downstairs. And I said, that's what transformation is. It is one after another. It is one embrace after another. And then there was Quinn. And there was no crying or screaming. And I panicked. I really panicked. Why is she not crying? Why is she not screaming? Why is she not crying? And the beautiful angel doctor said, everything's fine. Everything's fine. She will cry in her time. And I thought, oh my God, I'm in church. We will cry in our time, and we will hold each other, whether we be 60, 80, 81, or we be a brand new child, that what we are called to do on this spiritual path is to hold each other, to moan together, and then the laughter. When she finally did make a cry, and it was a very gentle cry, we laughed. Everybody laughed. They asked me what I wanted for my birthday. From this birthday, the day is actually tomorrow. It's my twin brother's birthday tomorrow, as well as my father's birthday tomorrow. But they said, what do you want for this day on your birthday? And the only two things I answered, and they were as if they were there unconsciously. There has got to be joy. If we're not playing, and I hope you'll play musical chairs with me downstairs, if there's not joy, why are we doing this, folks? If you're not enjoying the ride and laughing at the end of it, then please let me go help you find a church where there is more joy. But I want my church to be full of joy, even in the midst of, And I want to be in a community here on my birthday that it's safe to go, it hurts. And then we wrap our arms around each other. You know what we do here, what's important? It's me standing up here. No, that's not it. It's not anybody singing a song. It is Mama Sonia taking words and then wrapping her arms around you because you're going through birthing pains. And then it's you coming up and embracing her as she goes through her birthing pains. This community has been through a lot of being born again over the last 3 years. Have you noticed that? It has not been horribly comfortable. And I was really delighted and thrilled to spend some time with the board this weekend. We needed time to be together and to remember we belong to each other. And there were moments that resembled, and there were moments that resembled, But everybody was committed to one thing. At the end of the journey, I'm going to invite you to stand up. Stand up and place your hands on your hips. One of our YOUers taught me this trick at one point, and I've done it ever since as a spiritual practice. I want you to picture your biggest fear in front of you right now. I want you to picture the biggest thing that life is calling you into right now. The biggest thing that makes your knees knock, that makes you want to run, that makes you want to not crawl into the cocoon. And I want you to go like this. Ha 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 ha! Put it right there. Now start this with a Ha 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 ha. Where does the joy come? Please be seated. Where does the joy come? The joy comes after the birth. It comes in the morning, it says in Psalms, as Honey is pointing out. A quote from Mike Robbins said, "What if we lived our lives with a deeper and more conscious awareness of the fact that we get to create our experience of life every single moment? At any moment, we get to create our life. Imagine what our lives and our careers and our relationships would look like if we stopped blaming our experience on other people or on external circumstances. And I would add to that, if we quit making external circumstances responsible for our transformation." Jesus is not going to show up and cut into the chrysalis of your becoming because he's smarter than us. He's not going to peck at the egg and help us get out of the egg because we're too weak. Jesus sees us as way more powerful than we see ourselves. What if we changed our mindset? We would free ourselves up for so much positive energy, and we would take back so much of our personal power. Another song I want to share with you, and it's probably the first song I ever wrote. So my forgiveness to the lyricists in the room. It's not the greatest lyrics in the world, but it was my belief, and I'm letting you in on my life, when I decided maybe I can make a career out of making music. Well, I'm going to need a product, and this is the first song that I wrote that talks about the transformation that I went through in that moment, and what it took from me and what it's going to take from the board, it's going to take from this community to get to the next iteration of who we are supposed to be as a community. Amen? Sometimes a life can feel all alone and empty, and like in fairy tales, you think it's easier just to fall asleep forever. But you have been touched and you have been kissed, though not by the lips of a prince. You have been touched, you have been kissed by God. Open your eyes, hold out your hands, for God is there. Wake from your sleep, there's no more night, there's light everywhere. God's arms are holding you, supporting you. The time for fear is gone. God's heart is loving you and guiding you. His spirit whispers, it's time to move on, to take a new step, rise to new heights. The moment is now. An old journey ends and a new one begins, and God shows you how. And the dreams of your sleep you'll start to see can be much more than dreams. Open your eyes, hold out your hands, wake from your sleep. There's no more night. You have been touched, you have been kissed by God. You have been touched, you have been kissed by God. I'm going to invite the band to come up and play a little music underneath my final poem. Now, don't clap, don't break the moment. It's my birthday, and I'll control if I need to. I stand here today, 60 years young, vibrant, alive, and ready for the next birthday, and the next, and the next, because of people who helped me, The arms of God that held me as people in this room. The arms of people that I don't understand, that I call mom and dad, that held me in the midst of night terrors. I was a pretty screwed up kid. And I apologize to you because I chose some photographs for you to see downstairs, but I didn't choose to let you see the middle school kid who was consumed with wanting to take his life. But somebody held me. Somebody held me in the Methodist church. Somebody held me, putting me underwater. Somebody held me at a Billy Graham crusade that I never met. And this day I count as blessings, those moments of being born again and again and again and again. And I will cherish the people that allow me to hold them in my position. That it's no small miracle that I get to do what I get to do and pay it forward, because that's all I do, is I pay it forward. I'm going to switch mics. And I'm going to leave you with this final beautiful poem I found. It's written by a lady named Patricia Costanzo. I was reborn today. Not the first time, nor the last, but remarkable just the same. And like the butterfly, I had to say goodbye to my cocoon. All the things that had encased me and coddled me and cradled me, the things that kept me safe, and those darker things that shackled me, depressed me, and suppressed me. The toughest, I had to peel away all the ways that I belittled myself. The thoughts I keep that keep me small. The suck it up and hold it in thoughts. The walk softly and talk sweetly thoughts. The don't boast, the don't brag, your bad thoughts. The you can't add, you can't see, you can't sing thoughts, and I'm going to add to it, you can't dance. The hell I can't. And the how dare you celebrate your own wings thoughts. I had to unwind and rip and tear, and I had to kick my tiny butterfly feet and beat my fists and rage against the cage built of old beliefs. I didn't want to get to know them. I didn't want to get to understand them. I did not want to even dismantle them. But I chose to blow them to smithereens with the power of my new unfolding wings. Open your hands, reach out your heart. God is there. You have been touched and kissed by something so powerful. Don't waste another moment relishing the birth that you had 60 years ago. But let the birth 60 seconds ago be the one that you dance in. And like a baby bursting forth with a cry, I took to the sky, cheered on by the cheerful maiden. Over this series, I have called forth the divine feminine, and I'm going to do it again. The world needs the divine maiden, the feminine, to allow us to be held in the delivery room, in the birthing room, and we're all going, The world is doing that right now. The maiden is holding us. To stretch my wings and glide beside the glassy waterfalls, the flow of becoming, and over the glow of rows of enlightened yogis, not just Jesus, singular, enlightened yogis that look like Celia and Laura and Yuji and Dawn, and into the eye of a white sun till I became the light myself. And my old self was burnt away. The heavy earthbound stage of yesterday had to be shed, for I was reborn today.